These are the instructions for US Club org admins to determine which players need to perform the SafeSport requirement for the 22-23 seasonal year, as well as prepare those accounts so that the players are actually able to perform submit the SafeSport requirement, and how to communicate the instructions to those individuals. Again, this is the instructions related to those players that are turning 18 or are 18 or older during the course of this 22-23 seasonal year. These players now have a SafeSport requirement and will need to perform this. So these instructions are to aid the org admin in performing these duties. First thing you will need to do is go to your GotSport login and log in using your email and password associated with your org admin account. Once you log in, you will come to a page that looks like this. This will be your org admin account, and you'll be on the dashboard. You're going to navigate in the left-hand menu bar to Club Management and Players. And then you will see a box in the upper right-hand corner called the Select Save Search. If you open that, you will see a couple different pre-populated options. What these will do is automatically choose the necessary filters to determine which players are affected by this new requirement. You'll see there's an R002, proof of birth, safe sports, and SOR disqualification. We're going to choose the safe sport option, and we're going to click search. Now, if you do not find these saved reports in the upper right-hand corner, you can use the filters that are listed on the page or in the instruction article accompanying this video. These are the filters you will need to use in order to determine which players are affected by the new requirement. Additionally, you can submit a ticket to US Club, and we will have these requirements, these saved reports added to your account for future use. Now, once you have used the saved report or used the filters, you'll have a listing of the players that are affected by the new requirement. Now, you're going to have two situations, two types of players that will need to do this requirement. First, you'll have players that are currently still minors, those that are 17 turning 18 during the course of this year. Then you'll also have your 18 and older players. Your 18 and older players can just go ahead and do the SafeSport. They do not need any parental approval. You still need to make sure they have a username added to their account so that they can log in and do this requirement. So in the example here, we see Alberto Martinez. He is currently 18 based off of his date of birth. So he does not need parental approval to perform the SafeSport the SafeSport course. So you just need to make sure he has an email user ID in. Now you can see over here, he actually does have one. It'll be the one listed at the top. You'll see these two other accounts here are examples of ones that do not have an email user ID. They just have a contact email. Now, if he didn't have one and we wanted to add it, we just click onto this, onto the player's name and make sure this field here, the email user ID field, has an email in there. Now, this is not a required field because players are not required to have an email. But in this case, those 18-year-olds will have to have an email in here. So you just put that email in, scroll to the bottom, and hit save. Now, keep in note that this email does have to be a unique email address to the system because it is now a login. They cannot use the same user ID as a parent or any other user in the system. So make sure when adding an email, this is the player's unique email address. Once it's in there, you just hit save, and that player will now have an ability to log into the system. Now, your under 18 players, your 17-year-olds that are affected by this, or any player that has this requirement that is a minor, will need parental approval to be able to do this course. They will also need to log in, so you'll have to add an email to them as well. So when we come in here to Holly Hogg, you will need to add an email user ID to this individual as well. But you are also going to have to make sure they have a parent account attached to their profile so that the parent can log in and give parental consent via the system. Now, the process in which they do that is spelled out in a separate instruction and video. which can be found on the support website. But this is just how you can get the account set up. So the first thing you would need to do is, as we said before, navigate and find the 17-year-old players. And using your date of birth, you can determine that Holly is a 17-year-old. You can click on her name, and then we're going to click on family on the left-hand side. Now, you might see a family member listed here. If you do, you can just leave it, or you can choose to add a second parent if you want. But in this case, we see that there are no parents or guardians, so we have to add a parent to this account. We click on Add Parent Guardian in the upper right-hand corner, and then we are going to do a search. Now, the only field that is required is an email address, so you can run a search on that, or you can run a search on additional fields, which will make the search go a little bit faster. In this case, we're just going to search by this email. Now, this search might take a second. It is searching our entire database. And remember that when adding a parent, this is a separate account. That email does also have to be a unique email address for that parent. So we'll just wait for this search to finish, and then it'll come up, and we see that we have an option. Now, once you determine the correct login or the correct user here, we just click on the Add Parent Guardian option, and then you'll see it is just added to it. It'll say successfully saved, and you are good to go. If we go back and we look at Holly Hogg now and click on family, we will see that there is now a parent. That parent can log in using that email address to perform the parental approval so that Holly can now do her SafeSport. Now, if you add a parent or guardian and you put in some details and it doesn't find that individual or doesn't find anything, you run a search, it'll say no user was found, and it will give you the option of creating a new account for that parent to be attached. You will go down, you will put in their information, you'll scroll down, you'll put in an email address and a password. You can leave it blank if you don't want to, they can recover it, and you will hit save. Please keep note that the email, again, has to be unique to the system, and you'll get an error if you try and use an email that is already used. You can now go back to club management and players. We can research for those individuals. And these players will now be ready to go and have their SafeSport done. Alberto now has a login. Holly now has a parent. We still would like to add an email address to Holly, just to note, so that she can log in after getting parental approval in order to perform to actually submit and take the course. She'll also need that email login, so you would want to put that in there. But then these players will be ready to do their SafeSport. Now that the players are ready to go as far as taking the courses, it would be a good idea to send them instructions on how to take these courses, and you can do that from the screen. If you select these players, you can select here, you'll see a few options will show up, and we can send them a message. And there's already some pre-prepared instructions for both the parent and the player in order to take these courses. Those instructions can be found if you go to usclubsoccer.org, right up here. You go to Resources, Registration, and go to Player Registration. Oh, sorry, and go to US Club Soccer Got Sport Help Articles and Videos. Again, that's Resources, Registration, and then US Club Soccer Got Sport Help Articles and Videos. That'll redirect you to the US Club Soccer specific area of the Got Sport Zendesk and help articles. And if you click on your org admin club registrars area and scroll down a bit, you will see there is a whole section on SafeSport. And this will go over everything that we are discussing today, as well as having the instructions below that you can send out to the individuals. First article you will see here is the Complete and Sync SafeSport training. And this is the training intended for those players that are already 18 or older. And then we have the instructions for the parents to complete and sync the SafeSport training. So all the instructions for the minor athletes. So what you can do is we can take this article, copy the link to it. We can go back to our list, and this is for our over 18s. So we select Alberto Martinez, send him a message instructing him that he needs to do his SafeSport this year because he is 18, and pasting the instructions along with a message into the message that you send out. The same can be done for your under 17 players. We can select those players, send them a message. We can come back here and get the article for the parents. Select this article, go back, send them a message, and send that article that'll have all the instructions that they need to do as well. So that will be the best process for instructing the players and parents that need to perform this on how to do this. Now, for those, once the instructions are out and those players are doing the courses, there's going to be 2 stages you will see them in. Right now, these are all, if we're looking at these individuals, these 3 have not completed. You can look in this, in your filters right here, you'll see player SafeSport, and you'll see is not created. We have a few options here, which really represents the status of their requirement. So when it says not created, that means they have not started, they have not done anything yet. Now, for your 18 and older players that are just going in and doing it, that do not need parental approval, they will basically be either not created or under review or approved. Now, review is stating that they completed it, the system couldn't sync it, and they have uploaded proof of completion, and now US Club is reviewing and will be approving them shortly. And then they have approved. Those are the ones that have done it. So once they have completed their course, you can change the status here to see who has done it and who hasn't. And so if there are any that are in review, you can monitor those, or those that are approved. Now, for those players that are minors, that are under 18, that need the parental approval, once the parent gives approval, it goes in and does their process for signing off that they have got parental approval, their status will change from not created to pending. Now, when they go to pending, all that means is those 17-year-olds or those minors have gotten parental approval, but it does not mean that they have done anything else. So you still might need to monitor those players that are under the pending status, because then they still need to go in and complete the course in order to become approved. Now, from pending, they might go to review or to approved, depending on if they upload or if they automatically sync it with the system. But that is how you can keep track of these players, make sure that they are doing everything. Just to recap, those players that have not done anything will be here under not created. And that is the saved report that you have. You can come up here and modify this filter and just hit search to see any other players in any other status. Now, once they have completed everything, they'll go to approved. You don't have to do anything. You don't really have to monitor those approved ones. The system will just know, and they'll be able to work towards their eligibility and get ID cards and rosters, assuming all other requirements are done. The ones that you want to keep track of, if you want to see review, you can see any that have uploaded proof of doing the course but have not yet been approved by US Club. And then you see the pending status. Those are ones that have gotten parental approval but have not yet done the course. So those are ones that you would want to keep track of and say, thanks for the parent, and send messages to those individuals saying, we've got parental approval. You as a player still need to go and take the appropriate course. So that right there is how you can determine the status and of the players that need to do this. Keep track of those players, get emails into those players, email and logins into those players, and how you can message out to those players with the appropriate instructions and add parents to those players that need it.